Welcome back, everybody, to the Off the Tools podcast with your host, Jimmy Hong and Joshua Grudenbohr. Today, we have a dear friend of ours of the name of Patrick Connell, owner of Rocket Painter there in Kingston, Ontario. Patrick, maybe give the listeners a little bit of context in terms of your business, how long you've been around for, and maybe just kind of your general overall experience.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm super pumped to be on here. So you got a lot of good stuff going on. So I'm pumped to finally get on. A little background on myself. I've been in the industry for probably 6 years now. I started out in a franchise, kind of dipped my feet in there. I was in the kind of marketing consulting industry for about a year and a half as well. And then I just started this painting business last September. Um, Going pretty well. We really specialize in the residential repaint side of things. Really just focusing in on that recently, but that's a quick background on me.
I love it. I love it. Now, I guess like similar to us in a regard, you have really dug your toes into kind of the online marketing of things. That's where you source a lot of your work,
hmm
especially in Kingston. Kingston, what, population of 150, 200? How big is it?
Yeah. The city itself, yeah, 150.
And especially in those areas, like we often find when we're running campaigns, that's where people have the most success. So maybe, walk us through what you found in terms of, running campaigns in those like mid to big size kind of areas and what's been your experience and what's it like maybe in, you know, the slower times, aka the winter, and what's it like, in those warmer times.
Yeah, I would say in terms of marketing, it's easier all year long to, at least in my opinion, in my experience, it's easier to run and get leads in smaller markets because there's just less competition. We have dialed our marketing in so much so that now that I've turned my ads off, we're still getting like 3 to 5 leads a day, and we can't keep up. Um, so that was one thing I bumped into a lot when I was helping other people with marketing was they just thought their town was too small. And like you said, it's not like that at all. The big cities are good because there's so many people, and the small cities are good because there's so few people actually doing marketing. And we've really put a lot into ours as well. You guys have seen some of ours. It's like super high production quality stuff. So not only are we one of the like potentially the only person in the city with a painting company marketing, but on top of that, it's also so high quality that it just really makes us stand out, and it makes things so easy. Our problem is just having enough people to fulfill the work. We never ever run out of leads.
I love it. I love that you go for quality and especially with just showing people what, behind the scenes, right?
hmm
So quality definitely makes a big difference. What else do you think you do to set yourself apart in your market?
We do a lot. We do. I don't think there's anybody like us in the city or anywhere near. Yeah, we do a lot. Do you want me to like in terms of marketing or just business wide? What do you guys want me to touch on?
Yeah, let's talk about both. I think it's very important.
Yeah, so on the marketing side, I put a lot into our brand. So not only do we have stuff running to get leads, obviously, but we do a lot of marketing that is just to get our business in front of people, so that people see me. I get recognized all the time, even in the paint store. Other contractors, they'll talk to the people and be like, "That's the guy on." They say TV all the time, which is funny, but it's like it's like Facebook and Instagram. Um, and so from the marketing side, it's like we're just everywhere all the time. And I think we are, at least in this city, hands down the most recognizable and familiar company in the market. Um, and then on the business side, we do lots, man. We buy all of our clients a bottle of wine and a little gift basket with every project. Cleanliness is huge, like we always do. More than the average company to clean up after ourselves. Even in terms of the products themselves, paint tech, everything like that. We really pay attention to every little detail. Um, and all of those things put together, there's just nobody that even comes close in our market, at least.
Yeah, no, it was funny before this podcast. Jimmy asked me, he's like, what is Patrick's like strong suits when it comes to business? And I thought about it for a second, and I was saying, I'm like, I think you really care about your clients and the actual like end product more than the average person. And I mean that obviously comes across when you're giving that bottle of wine, you know,
Yeah.
when you're making sure you're putting that, you know, attention to cleanliness. Um, what do you try and instill, I guess, in your painters and your crew to kind of make sure that message gets across to them? Because it's one thing if you care, but if people around you don't, it doesn't matter.
Hmm. I think the one thing I really try to help our painters feel is just pride in their work and in the company. I never once have said I am doing this, my company, my business. It's always we, our company, we're doing this. When this like things happen for us, I really try to enroll everybody on the team in the company because at the end of the day, I can't really run the painting business without painters. Um, and it works well because they a lot of the times sometimes the problem that I have is okay, we're doing this a little too much. Reel it back. You know, we're not these clients haven't paid for us to be in there for a month to fix every little fisheye in the drywall. Um, but because I've been able to kind of enroll the all of our painters in the vision of the company and being the best in the city, like it fires them up. They love it. And because of that, I think they really take pride in their work. So that when I'm not around, they're even going the extra step or taking the extra step and going the extra mile to make sure the product's good. Because I think, you know, sales is really important, lead gen is really important, but I think if you have the best product, then it speaks for itself.
Totally.
Service,
No, for
service.
sure. Um, yeah, I was just kind of thinking, like you obviously put like a ton of, you know, thought into like what does this product actually turn into when you're curating, you know, these projects? What are like the top things that you're looking for when you're producing a project to be like, okay, like we did a good job?
We did a good job. Recently, I've been trying to keep things as simple as possible. Um, so, things that I look for to make sure that we did a good job on the product side um, are, I think a lot of them are kind of given, but I'll say them anyways just to make sure. But, you know, zero paint drips on the floor, no
Hmm.
streaks on the walls. We do a lot of high end interior. So, no streaks, no inconsistencies on finish. Cut lines are razor sharp, like without fail, no exceptions. Tying into the product, like my lagging indicator is just client satisfaction. So
Hmm.
I show up on site, clients are thrilled. It's a pretty good indicator that things are going well. Um, but yeah, the main thing is just we just need exceptional work. No paint where it's not supposed to be. Finish is like almost like glass. Job is clean throughout. You know, clean up at the end of every day. We don't leave dust all over people's house for a week. I've got a crew doing a 2 week interior right now, and they clean up at the end of every single day. These clients are still living in their house, so it's really
Hmm.
important that they, you know, sure, they're getting work done and it's the trades, but if we want to charge premium prices and give them a premium service, then we don't want their house to be a war zone the whole time we're there. So that's another thing that's really important to me as well. Um, is making sure that, you know, we don't blow up our client's life while we're there either.
Yeah,
Hmm.
great point. Great point, man. It's so interesting because you started off by saying, "Hey, like this is probably common sense or a given," but like not everyone thinks that, right? I've
Right.
had clients in my painting business that were like, "Yeah, you're going to use drop sheets, right?" It's like, well, yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Like we're going to make sure your cut lines are going to be, yeah, like everything, making sure we're going to have like walkthroughs and everything. And they're like, "Wait, what? Like the
Yeah.
other guy didn't do this." And it was like
Yeah.
crazy to me that what the difference between high quality, like what you're doing versus people that just like, if you ask somebody else like a question like that and they didn't do all those things, they'd be like, yeah, I just go and get the work done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Crazy difference.
100%.
No, it's kind of funny too. Right now, our landlord is in the process of selling our house. We sent in a painter last week
Mm-hmm.
to paint our foyer.
Mm-hmm.
No drop sheets,
Oof.
dust everywhere, paint all over the floor, paint all over the door.
Oh no.
So I messaged the guy that like organized this painter, and I go, "Hey, there's paint all over the floor. There's paint all over the door. in my opinion, as someone that's owned a painting company, this is an atrocity. And then
Mhm.
apparently, the guy went and told the painter, and then the painter quit the job. He said he doesn't want to come back to fix it because it was not respectful. And it's like
Yeah.
that's so funny though to me. It's so funny because it's like if they just used the drop sheets, if they just had slightly more attention to detail, and here
Mhm.
you are saying like these are standard practices, they're just so not, which is hilarious,
God.
obviously, in our eyes.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
in most people's eyes, especially these one man shows' eyes, it's like as long as I get it done.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. There's definitely like different echelons to the industry for sure.
Yeah.
Totally. Now, for those of you that are just trying to get an idea of like Patrick's, I guess, business, um, Patrick is, for instance, not our ideal client. He has his lead gen, totally figured out. He does well with his sales. As he was saying, he's like, yeah, like my challenge is like making sure like we do a really good job, like on fulfillment, etc.
Mhm.
What are you doing? I guess maybe even the sales realm that separates yourself from the other people that inevitably a lot of times go in and quote the project too.
Yeah, I'm super pumped to talk about this because I spoke to somebody that you guys know as well recently, just about pricing, and we found out that I'm charging literally twice as much for the same stuff.
Mm,
And I also need to charge more, but I close 80-90% week to week. Um, so the sales process, it starts with the marketing. And I want to explain this in a way that somebody explained a sales process to me a while ago, which is imagine you have a room and there's a door at one side and a door at the other, and your prospect is just a box in this room. You want to push that box from this side of the room to that side of the room. You want to push it as far as you can before you ask for the sale. And that's the entire way that I run my business and my marketing. So that ideally, the box starts here. By the time I'm asking them for money, the box is like 5 inches away from this side of the room. I'm not I'm not getting a message on Facebook the first time they ever saw my business, and then I give them a call, go do a quote, and then, we're a foot across the room and I'm asking them for money already. Our sales process starts like the very first time they see me. I've got probably like 10 to 15 ads running at all times that are not lead generation ads. They're just like professionally done content with reels of myself explaining our process. Because as you guys mentioned, and which I am going to call like a gaping hole in the industry, is common knowledge. And so I display that. It's common for us, it's expected for me and my painters, but we do so much on the side of marketing, pushing content that says, this is something that some people think you can get away with. We absolutely know you can't. This needs to be done. Even if you're not hiring us, make sure your painters do this. And we've kind of positioned ourselves as a figure of authority in the market without asking anything. So we do so much marketing just focused on providing value to the target market, to our demo, and getting in front of them so many times, to the point where now we don't have lead gen ads running anymore. We just I get calls from people specifically saying, I want you to paint my house.
mhm.
Because and they also in the same breath say that they've been meaning to reach out for the last 6 months because they keep seeing our stuff online.
Mm.
So it's really focused on, I guess, in your guys' shoes, you'd call it like warming up the market.
Mhm.
We do so much of that. I've turned the lead gen ads off; those are still running all day, every day. We never stop them. Every time our filmer, our media guy comes out, we record new ones. We just recorded one with our interior designer that we teamed up doing a full walkthrough, so that again, not only our existing clients can keep up with us, but the clients that are looking for a good painting company, they know me, they know my lead hand. They even know some of our not so like some of our newer painters, so that they know exactly who's coming into their home to do their project.
Yeah, no, Patrick, you are an absolute wizard. Again, for those of you listening, Patrick actually taught me a concept, I'd say probably, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And it really comes across in, what you're saying right now, which is omnipresence,
Hmm.
right? And that's just like being everywhere all the time, all at once. You can't goddamn escape Rocket Painter. Even if you try, the grasp is biting into you, whether you like it or not. And that omnipresence certainly helps with, that box analogy where we're moving the box across the room. What else are you doing besides the omnipresence, of like, hey, meet Dave. He's, one of our top guys. What else are you doing besides the omnipresence, I guess, to move that box maybe once you're at the estimate?
So at the estimate, I think the biggest differentiator, and this is just going by feedback from clients, is that I'm just as real as I can be. I think the best salespeople in the world help the client make the best decision for them, and that's what I go into every sale with. And I turn down a lot of work these days as well. One, because it's outside of my scope, even if it's like a huge project, I turn it down. Or two, sometimes I get the feeling that like it's just not going to be enjoyable for me or the client. So I think the biggest thing, there's a million little things I can do, and I'm happy to go through some of them. But I think the biggest thing is just being real with our client, what they want, asking questions to get extremely, extremely clear on what they want. Because every single time I do a quote, I ask bare minimum 10 questions, not in general, 10 questions that they have never even thought about before.
Wow.
Wow.
So we get crystal clear on what they want so that when I give them a quote, I'm giving them a quote to actually solve their problem, or give them what they want, rather than just like, hey, can you paint my living room? Yeah, this is what it costs to paint your living room. Whereas, I've had clients that have had, their children have some issues, and they want to make sure that our painters aren't going to be super loud and making a mess, and so that's what we're selling to one client. We're making sure that we can deliver that to one client. Another client, maybe they just need it done quickly. It's a turnaround. So one of the biggest things is just getting extremely, extremely clear. And then beyond that point, I think one thing that you and I have talked about, we're just kind of dropping bombs back to back here, but you and I have talked about, Josh, is just normalizing price. Don't be afraid to talk about it. You walk in, you give them a ballpark on the phone, you walk into the quote, and, oh yeah, I told you this was going to be 5 to 10. Like, it's bigger than I thought. It might be over 10. See what we come out to. Just kind of remove the taboo or the stigma or whatever around price. And then the last thing I would say on that is just be confident in what you can offer. And it goes back to really dialing in your product. Like, I'm just so certain that we are, if not the best, like at least top two in the company. I only say that out of kind of humility because I haven't seen anybody better. But I just have so much conviction in our product and what we can deliver that, when I ask for money and even upping our price, this is, we're charging over $100 an hour now for our charge rate. So, you kind of have to be able to stay in on business to charge that much. And that just goes back to being confident in your product. So
That's awesome, man. I love seeing the conviction because it really just goes right through the screen. And like, I think you nailed it. Like, just having so much knowledge and being able to take care of the clients to that level. Like one of the things that came up was like a painting consultant, right? You're not a sales guy. You're not like this painter. No, you're like a painting consultant, helping them make the best decision for them. And I noticed a lot of, other people have trouble around even the budget or pricing. Like,
mm-hmm.
what's your like process to really, because not everybody wants to speak about numbers, right? So what's your process to keep it nice and easy for the clients as well?
To keep it easy for the clients, I just talk about it like it's part of the process. There's no, and I think some of that shows through just the way that I talk about it now, because it's so normalized for me. It makes them feel like it's not a big deal. So somebody calls me and they want. I have a client who wanted a kitchen done before the end of the month. We're booking into October right now, but they wanted a kitchen done before the end of the month, and I'm like, I can't remember it. I think Deanne was her name or something. I'm like, Deanne, we're booked until the end of the month, and our minimum job size is like $2,000 now. So I don't know if it makes sense for us to do this project for you. Um, and she's like, yeah, I totally understand. Send a crew out, whatever. Um, but she insisted on sending me pictures anyway. She really wanted us to do the project. And I'm just straight up, I asked her, I'm like, what is your budget for this? I'd love to help you out, especially because you're specifically requesting for us, but like, what is your budget on it? Um, and we just had a conversation about it. And I think the way that I talk about it, they recognize that it's important. It's not like a uncomfortable, how much are you willing to spend here? I'm like, what's your budget so that I can give you what you need based on that? And I think that just translates. It's a lot of it's conviction, it's delivery. And again, kind of going back to what I already said, if it's not weird, like if you don't make it weird, then normally it's not weird,
Love it.
No, yeah, there is so much nuance associated with it, and especially when we start talking to contractors in terms of developing some sort of sales process,
Hmm.
there is like that question that everybody starts with, which is, what is your budget for this project?
Hmm.
And I would say most people, especially at the start, including myself, butcher that question like nobody's
Hmm.
goddamn business, because what it can and very easily can come across as is, how much can I rent you for?
Hmm.
That's what it comes across as if you're not, actually framing the question. But, if you're framing the question, it's like, hey, I want to make sure that we're actually creating a quote for you that has everything involved. If you are selling the place, I'm not going to put ultra high end paint in your house. I don't need
Hmm.
to do that for you. So, what are you kind of looking to spend? And I can see if I can kind of reverse engineer something for you. It's like that goes so much farther
Hmm.
than, what do you want to spend?
Absolutely. Yeah. And tying back to the very beginning of the process, getting in front of people more is going to make them trust you more. So that when they talk
Mm,
to you on the phone and you ask them about budget, you're not some random guy on the internet asking how much they can charge you. You
hmm
are, like, I'm Pat from Rocket Painter that I've seen a million times. He wants to know what my budget is so that he can help me out. Right.
hmm
And that,
hmm
again, is going back to that box. It's like push them further along. Then sometimes you don't even have to say everything you just said, but
Yeah.
it is very crucial. We've
Yeah,
all
that's
three of us had
so
a
it's so
conversation.
true. It's so true, man. Because as you're talking about the box, like all I keep thinking about is just like moving it so close to the door. It's like if you don't ask questions, and this guy wants you to paint the rental property, they probably don't care about having premium paint. But if you try to sell them that, it's like you're not listening. So I
Hmm.
love that.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Totally. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that's a super interesting like concept that you employ, especially like with the whole omnipresence thing. Something that we've talked about, I think, on the podcast before is that people do business with people, people don't do business with businesses.
Hmm.
And it's like when we're putting up, you know, meet Jeff. He's our head crew guy. This is the guy that's gonna be taking care of your project. And it's like, okay, well, I want to do business with Jeff. I don't, really care about Rocket Painter. He happens to be part of Rocket Painter, which is awesome. And I love that. However, it's like, Jeff seems like a pretty stand-up guy. He's putting a pretty banging cut line, in
Hmm.
this ad.
Hmm.
And even when we're talking about just like recommendations, to contractors in terms of just brand familiarity, like first things we recommend is just like put pictures of people. Put pictures of people up there. So it's like, again, like you're now like somebody rather than this machine that somehow spits out results. It's kind of the same how like when you call into your bank hotline or anything and you get AI first, you're like, oh my God.
Brutal.
Talk to service representative. Talk to service
Like
representative. I
zero.
just want to talk to someone. I want to do business with someone.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Um,
We post stuff of our people literally every single day. Every single. We don't miss a single day on Facebook and Instagram. Um, and yeah, I think it helps because again, it. Not only are you seeing the people that you're working with, but you're also seeing the quality of their work in real time. It's like, oh, I'm
mhm.
watching Jeff do a cut line right now. So if he comes to paint my house, that's what it's going to look like. Versus, like you said, it's you're on Facebook or Instagram, and there's 100 different pictures of a bedroom. Like, cool. What do you do with that?
Totally. For you, Pat, like you're at the point where like you're really trying to dial in, the fulfillment of the services and stuff like that. What are, and this is something we don't really ask people on the podcast, and we should definitely start, but what are your goals for the next maybe 6 to 12 months? Like, where would you like to see Rocket Pay?
6 to 12 months, I don't really have any revenue goals or anything like that. I'm really
Yeah.
trying to develop a solid team. That's my main
Mm,
goal. I need some management to help me out. So I'm working on developing production manager just to manage the day to day a little bit more. Um, Somewhere after that's done, sales manager. And then I'd really like to just focus on the business. I'm still working in the business a little bit. We've got 3 crews going, making pretty good money. All the clients are happy, but I'm still in it a little bit more than I'd like. And I find when I can break away for a few days just to work on it, like we just have leaps and bounds of progress versus me like trying to push the needle forward while also juggling 8 plates at the same time. Like it's a bit
mhm.
much. So that's my goal for the next 6 to 12 is just develop a management team to share
Yeah.
some responsibility.
Yeah, and you've had some good management like within your company before. What
Hmm.
are you, I guess, looking for in terms of somebody to maybe, because it sounds like definitely that project manager could be one of those first roles that you're, trying to
Hmm.
fill. What are
Hmm.
you looking for in a person for that role? And are you looking to hire externally or internally for this goal? I know we talked about this
We
not too
talk
long
about it all the
ago.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Externally, internally, I'm back and forth, man. I think
Mhm.
I'd love to do internal. However, even at this scale, 6 painters, it's unless I've got one of those 6 that's tough, it's like can't really hire on a 7th because somebody's going to be short on work until I pull somebody off, right? Uh, so internal versus external, I don't know. What I'm looking for, just to keep it as simple as possible, is aptitude and organization skills. I think those are the only things that you need in a production manager. You need people that can, when I say aptitude, I mean people that can figure things out, they can pick things up decently quickly, um, and problem solve. And then organizational skills, again, hopefully are obvious, but it's like, can you make sure that all the paint's ordered? Can you make sure that the crews know what process to follow so that they're not bouncing back and forth like a ping pong ball all day, finishing nothing? Can you make sure that if a client texts you, that you're texting them back? Sorry, my camera's kind of bugging. Yeah, if a client texts you during the day, make sure that you text them back. Make sure that you're scheduling things on time, stuff like that, right? So aptitude and organization. I think that's all you need in a PM, and that's all I'm really looking for. It doesn't need to be the most seasoned painter I've ever met. Um, it just needs to be somebody who has those skills. I think we could call them.
What do you think? Because realistically, when I was thinking about like who I would hire for my managerial positions, and even like what we're kind of experiencing here at like Launchpoint Media, we were kind of talking about how like when we're hiring people on for skill sets and traits that we don't have rather than people that are like us, right? So maybe this is a crazy question, but like, what do you think that you lack in your business that you'd love to hire on through somebody else? Because, like, I like to think, for instance, I'm a decently well rounded human being, but I suck at so many things. I do. But you know what? I can hire some people on that will make up for my lack of skill set in XYZ area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think I think hiring based on strengths is really important. In terms of, sorry, I kind of got lost in that question. So you're asking like what I would be looking for to fill?
Yeah, just like what do you think you lack on that you're hoping to get
Yeah.
out of somebody else? Like my project manager, Braylon, she was really organized. She was very on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
She's super on time with everything. I'm not all of those things, but I'm some of those things. But it was nice that she was some of those things because I wasn't all those things.
Yeah. It's tough. I think I agree. And maybe it's just my ego speaking, but I'm also pretty well rounded. But what I pay most attention to when I'm looking to delegate is what drains me the most. It's not like what can
Ah,
I do versus what can't I do? Like I can manage production, I can sell, I can schedule clients. I hate scheduling clients. Managing production, it's like unless I'm popping into the job site for 20 minutes to shoot it with the boys and chat with the client, I don't want to be there. So I hire people that like that stuff. They like chopping it up with the team. They really take pride in um, doing those things. They like being organized. You know, they pop the schedule in. It's just something that they enjoy doing. I am somebody. I think most entrepreneurs, to be honest with you, are people that tend to think more big picture, and the smaller, I don't know if smaller picture is a good way to put it, but the more repetitive tasks, I guess you could say, make us want to um
yeah,
they
no,
suck.
for sure.
They
Yeah,
suck.
yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody
so
hears you loud and clear with that one,
yeah.
Joey. Don't worry.
So that's what I'm looking for. I'm trying to delegate the things that I just hate. The things that
Hmm.
exhaust me. You know, I could sell probably 12 hours a day. Um, but dealing with clients, there's a lot of little things that come up. So if you have somebody that loves problem solving and loves making people happy, which I do, but if I'm doing it 12 hours a day, I'm toast by the end of the week. So if I can find somebody that really likes that and um, it doesn't drain them, it like lifts them up, then it's a win-win for both of us. And a little caveat to that is regardless of who does what, it's always easier for one person to do one thing. And that's another really important part of hiring that I really pay attention to as well. It's like, even if somebody's half as good at something as I am, if it's the only thing that they're doing, then they're probably still going to do it better than me doing 12 things, you know? So that's,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Um, yeah, like for instance, I've said it multiple times, I think, on the podcast now, but it's like I'm not a great painter, and I would hope, like, even I'll get a little back talk from my painters or whatever. They'll be like, "Then what? You know, why don't you do it?" or something like that. And then I'll be like, I could, but I probably won't be as good as you, so you should probably do it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I wanted to circle back to a concept because I didn't want to lose it, and I think it's super important. And we've never really talked about it, which is turning down work. That's like that is such a foreign concept. I feel like just most contractors, not even just painting, I don't care if you're irrigating lawns, like
Mhm.
there's probably some work that you should be turning down. So, what are you looking for in a client? Because let's be honest, guys, like, going to these estimates is a dating process both ways. We both get to decide at the end of this if we want to date each other. So
Mhm.
why don't we make sure this is a good fit? So what are you looking for, I guess, in a client, and what are you not looking for in a client?
Um, I would say macro, just profitability and ease. Do I foresee things going wrong? If I
Hmm.
do, we're not doing this. Um, in clients specifically, I like people that are just happy people. I don't want to deal with somebody that's absolutely miserable because chances are that's going to come out and, they're going to take that out on us. Clients that are overly picky, specifically if they talk poorly about past contractors. It's very easy, especially when you think you're really good. It's very easy to be like, oh my God, we would never do that. But for all you know, the client could be lying. The contractor might have been 10 out of 10 and the client's just insane and you should run for the hills. So you want to be cautious of people that talk poorly about past contractors. Um, what else do I look for? I would say I pay more attention to red flags than I do positives. Like
Sure.
I don't have a scale of great clients. I just have, do they meet this threshold or not? So yeah, bad about contractors, overly picky. If I can tell that they're really bad at making decisions, it's not a deal breaker for me, but I definitely try to feel it out a bit more because we just had a project. It's actually still going on right now. We did pretty large project. We painted their whole interior. We're doing their front porch now. And they were very slow. They were speaking about a designer that was bringing them colors. and they weren't sure, and the designer suggested this, but they weren't sure about it, and they wanted to ask this other person to check, and then they wanted me to go about the colors. And then when it came to the job start, we scheduled it 2 weeks out, and we still didn't have the colors the day of we were supposed to start. And the client was driving to the paint store to get more consulting on the colors so that we could put it on the walls. And my guys are just sitting on site burning money. Not their fault, obviously, but
Totally.
that's another thing is, do people have, like, do clients have aptitude? Can they make decisions? Can they figure it out? Because everybody watching this knows sometimes you get a client that's like, I don't even care like, put gray on the wall. I don't care what color gray it is. Those ones are a dream. But the ones that are not, the ones that want specific clay-based paint, and they want to make sure that the base is the right color so that the sheen is perfect and all this stuff. I try my best to stay away from it. We really take pride in that stuff. But one thing that I actually learned when I was in the agency space is you want to work with clients who don't know as much as you. And that way you can really exceed expectations. So if you know even if you know a 10 out of 10, if you have a client who knows 9 out of 10, they're going to be like marginally happy with your job. Whereas if all of your clients are 5 out of 10 on like knowledge and skill, then consistently you're going to be doing at least twice as well as they've ever seen. So even if you're the best, it's always better to work with clients who don't necessarily know as much or expect as much, because you just have that much more to kind of teach them. In your guys' world, it's like you can teach them a lot more and they appreciate it a lot more. So in our world, it's kind of the same. It's just a little bit more subtle.
I love it. Yeah, and such a great point, man. And honestly, for anyone listening, might be a hard truth for you. Like, if you can't turn away jobs because you just don't have enough work coming in, or you're not setting the standard like Patrick is, you got to take a hard look at yourself, right? If you absolutely have to take a job that you're like, oh, this is going to be a nightmare, sucks, but we're going to do it, might be time to take a step back and look at things, what's going on in the business. So I 100% love that.
100%. You're going to set
Now,
yourself further back than the money's worth.
100%. Now, Patrick, for a contractor that, is potentially like considering online advertising and, growing their business that way, what would you say to them?
Spend as much as you can. I'm so serious. That's
I
like,
know.
it sounds funny, but people, contractors especially, it's like they'll spend money on so many different things except the one thing that makes them money. We average a 20x ROAS. So that means for every dollar that I put into marketing, I get 20 back. Even if you're only doing that for 10, like you have a 10x ROAS, every dollar that you put into marketing is going to make you $10 back. So if you put 1,000 into marketing, you're going to make 10 grand back. And people get so caught up in their margins, which most of the time they need to charge more. They get caught up in all these things on hypothetical work that they don't even have. So they don't want to spend money because they're like, oh, if I spend $1,000 on marketing, then that's 1,000 less I make on the 10 grand. So they're not going to spend $1,000 on marketing. They're going to produce $2,000 worth of work and keep 1,500 of it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still short $8,500 because they didn't want to spend the extra 1,000. So I would tell every contractor, every business owner, the one thing you should happily spend money on and never give a second thought about is marketing. Until, like, if you're in a situation like we are, where it's like you can't keep up, sure, turn it off. Or at the very, I even wouldn't suggest turn it off. Like, focus more on branding, but just do it. I think personally, this is going to be a hot take, but I think that if somebody doesn't want to spend marketing or doesn't want to spend money on marketing, they're just going to fail in business. I don't think there's any way to succeed without spending money on marketing. You're not big enough to survive without paying to get in front of people. Unless you're going to go around and knock on doors, every single door in the city yourself, you're not big enough for your work to speak for itself. Especially if you're small. If you're a 1-2-man show and you're doing 2 or 3 projects a month, it's going to take you forever for enough people to know about you to even think about surviving without marketing. We're doing, between $50,000 to $60,000 a month And even though our lead ads are turned off, I'm still spending $1,000 a month on branding and marketing, just so that people continue to see us. So that was a long-winded answer, but just spend as much as you can. The proof's in the pudding. As soon as you get a ROAS, just double up on it, triple down on it.
Totally. Yeah, no. And this is what we tell, our clients all the time too. It's the thing, like, you don't need a new sprayer, you probably don't need a new truck. Your paintbrushes are probably fine, but
Mhm.
you could probably expand this entire company double, triple, quadruple if you just put more money into marketing. It was probably the only thing in my business that I never even once considered actually being an expense. Like, obviously, it is an expense, but like, did I think about getting a new sprayer before I got it? Did I do my research? Hell yeah. But when it came to marketing, I'm like, yeah, it's June. 4K ad spend sounds good because this is the time to do it,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
Um, I think that's our time for today. Patrick, thank you very much for being on. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
We'll have Patrick's information down below. If you want to be Patrick's project manager, make sure to hit him up right there. He's looking for an absolute killer. If you guys want to see what it might like to work with us, we'll have our links down below. As always, thanks so much, guys, for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next.
Thank you.
Cheers.